There's a sentence I should have never said out loud to my kids, but I said it anyways. Not all at once. That's not how it happens. Nobody sits their children down and delivers that speech. It came out in pieces over months, over years, in the car, at dinner, in the quiet times. A comment here, a tone there, a sigh when her name came up. But here's the whole thing assembled. This is what my kids actually heard, one fragment at a time. I lost more than a marriage. I lost the future I thought I was building. I lost 100% of my time with you. I lost 5 years of money I could have invested. Money that was supposed to be for vacations and college and other things. I lost the life I'd built in ministry and community. And I've paid for your mother's decisions in ways she never has. Now, every line of that is true. And there's no courtroom on earth that would hear that case. So, what did I do? I went looking for a jury anyways. And my kids are still carrying what I handed to them.
Yeah. Check the mic, 1, 2. This ain't a whisper, this a roar coming through. They try to bury us, but the seed just grew. Now the concrete cracks and the truth breaks through. They told you it was over, said you never survive. But the dead man walking is fully alive. No one is coming to save you, so sharpen the knife. Turn up the podcast. Welcome to the Brilliant Life.
Welcome to the Brilliant Life podcast. I'm Mike Moulton. This is the tactical briefing for men navigating divorce, betrayal, and the collapse of everything they thought was solid. Let's get to work. I want to name something for you because it doesn't have a name yet in your mind. And that's exactly why it works. You've been telling your kids the truth. That's how it feels, at least. You're not lying to them. You're not making things up about your ex. You haven't invented a single thing. You've just been letting little pieces out, a comment, a tone, a sigh when her name comes up, an explanation you didn't have to give. But here's the truth. You weren't actually informing them. You were recruiting them. That's right. Recruiting. That's the word. And once you have that word, you'll start seeing everywhere it turns up in your life. Recruitment is when a man needs his children to reach a conclusion about who was right, not for their protection, but for his relief. And here's why it's so hard to catch. Recruitment doesn't sound like an attack. It sounds like honesty. It sounds like a father who refuses to lie to his own kids. And that's the disguise. A cruel motive. A man can catch. A protective one feels like love the entire time you're doing it, yet it's damage. I want to tell you how I know this. I didn't do well in this area. And I want to be clear about that before I teach you anything else. Because I'm not here on the other side of this whole thing waving you across as one who's been perfect. My kids actually know way more than they should have. I told them more than I should have told them. Not once, but over a stretch of time when everything was coming apart and I didn't have the emotional intelligence to keep my mouth shut. And when I finally got honest with myself about why, here's what I found out. I just wanted their alliance. That's the one word I landed on. Alliance. Their lives were getting turned upside down. Everything in their life was chaos. And underneath everything I said to them was one thing I needed them to know. It wasn't my fault. I still believe that, and that part's true. But wanting them to know it that badly enough to say things I can't take back, that was the wrong way to go about it. And for that, I have regret. Here's what I couldn't see at the time. And I hope it's the most useful thing I can give you today. There are two different desires living inside that same sentence. And they come out of your mouth sounding identical. Desire number one. You want your kids to know you didn't destroy your family. That is a father protecting his bond with his children. And it's legitimate. And there is love in it. Then there's desire number two. You actually want your kids on your side as well. That is a wounded man conscripting his children into a war against their mother. Same words, different father underneath. And this is the part that should stop you cold. Your kids cannot tell which one they're getting. They don't hear your motive. They don't hear the years of context. They hear a parent asking them to pick a side. If I can conjecture, I might know what's happening inside of you right now because it happened to me. You're thinking, yeah, but I'm right. You're thinking, she actually did do all this that I'm saying. I'm not making any of it up. Why should I have to protect the reputation of someone who blew up my family? And look, I hear you. And I'm going to tell you something that took me a long time to accept. Being right is exactly what makes a man feel entitled to the alliance. That's the trap, my friend. It isn't the men who are lying about their exes who do the most damage here. On the contrary, it's actually the men who are telling the truth. So let me kind of decode the mechanics for you a bit, because there's a machine running underneath all of this and you need to see it. You got betrayed. That's injury number one. Then the system, that handed you a bill. That's injury number two. You pay her every month a transfer of money from the man who got betrayed to the woman who did the betraying. And nobody will call that what it actually feels like. Not the court. To the court, it's simply arithmetic. Not your friends. They shrug and tell you that's just how it works. Not the church. The church wants to know if you've actually forgiven her or not yet, because it seems like you haven't. So the injustices never get heard. Nobody names it for you. It doesn't discharge. It just sits there in your gut. And then your kids walk into the room, and you know what? They're the only jury available sometimes. And that's the whole mechanism right there. And honestly, that's what I did. Couldn't get the verdict from the law, the state, the court. I couldn't get one from my pastor and community. So some part of me went looking for one from the only people left who might give it to me. Turns out unspent injustice doesn't evaporate. It goes looking for somewhere else to land. I want to go back to that list from the top. I lost the future. I lost the time. I lost the money. I lost the ministry and community I'd built. Every line of that loss is true. I want you to hear that from me, because half the men listening have been told their losses are kind of exaggerated. They're not. Those losses are real and they're yours. And God is not asking you to pretend otherwise. But watch what happens to that sentence when I say it out loud. It starts as a ledger of what I lost. And somewhere in the middle, it turns. It stops being about me and it becomes you. I lost my time with you. I paid your mother's choices. That's the moment the bill changes hands. True is not the same as theirs to carry. Your children didn't sign the contract. They didn't break the covenant. They didn't sit in the room where it happened. They inherited this wreckage of a decision they had no vote in. And when you hand them the ledger, you're asking your child to pay a debt they did not incur and cannot possibly cover. But here is the good news. And it's the only reason I can say anything without despair right now. There is a father who takes bills that aren't his. That's the entire center of our Christian faith. A debt gets moved from the people who couldn't pay it to the one who could. That's not a metaphor I'm reaching for. That's the transaction of the cross. So the question isn't whether your loss gets acknowledged. It does. And God sees the whole ledger, down to each line item. And he's not squeamish about the money. The question is who you hand it to. Shouldn't be your children. You've got a father who can carry this. Giving it to your children, to the ones who can't, is the harm. And hear me on this last part, because it's the thing I wish somebody had told me. You won't get the justification you're seeking for. Not from them, not ever. You can recruit every one of your kids, and you will still be standing there at the end of it unacquitted, which leaves the only question that matters. What do your children actually need instead? The answer took me a long time, and when it finally came, it came out of my own framework, which was pretty humbling, honestly, because these are things that I'm beginning to teach other men while missing it myself. They needed a non-reactionary father, a man who was present with them instead of sulking in all that was going on, a man whose jaw wasn't locked while he sat right next to them, someone who wasn't running his own wounds on a loop while his kids tried to get his attention. That's the F in my Forge protocol. Freeze the reactive cycle. And also the R in Forge, reclaim your presence as a father. I enjoy teaching those two letters, and I want you to hear that because it really changes the assignment for you. You don't freeze the reactive cycle for your own sake. You freeze it so there's a man left in the room when your children walk in. Your kids aren't going to remember the accurate version of events, okay? That's not what forms them. They're going to remember whether their dad was steady. They're going to remember whether the room got safer or unsafe when you came in. That's it. And honestly, that's the whole exam. Here's the mercy in it. You can be steady before you're healed. You can be present before this is all finished. You don't have to have the whole thing figured out to walk into their lives daily and be the man your kids can lean on, at least for an hour. So I want you to take this assignment this week. It's one thing, not five. Schedule at least 1 hour of time with your kids and protect it exactly the way that you'd protect a date. Put the phone in the other room, not face down on the table. Just put it in the other room. Have no agenda, no big trip, no special activity, no performance. And the one rule for that hour, your ex doesn't come up. Not her name, not a comment, not a sigh, not a tone when she's even mentioned by them if they bring her up. Stay neutral, stay warm, let it pass. That hour isn't for truth. It's for them to feel what a steady father feels like. Try it, 1 hour. That's the mission this week. And if an hour is too much right now, maybe try 10 minutes and do those 10 minutes right. 10 honest minutes beats a whole Saturday with your jaw clenched. One more thing. I want to tell you why this show exists, and then I'll let you go. I built the Forge protocol because I needed it. I didn't have it at the time. Nobody handed me a system when my life came apart. Nobody told me the difference between informing my kids and recruiting them. Nobody told me where my rage was going to go if I didn't give it somewhere legitimate to land. I figured it out too late. And my kids, unfortunately, absorbed some of the cost of me trying to figure it out. So if you're in the thick of it right now and you need a plan instead of a feeling, go to brilliantlifecollective.com and book a strategy session with me. We'll look at where you actually are and we'll build out the next 90 days so you can do better. It's what I do. It's why I'm here. And if the rage is part of all that's running you right now, go back and listen to the episode on turning rage into fuel. It's a companion one to this one. I want to say this. You can't stop recruiting your kids until that anger and rage has somewhere else to go. And remember, you're not building your old life. You're resurrecting a new one. And unspent injustice always finds a courtroom. Just don't make it your children. Until next time, I'm Mike Moulton. This is the Brilliant Life Podcast. I love you and have a great week.
Don't let them tell you you're